Hello everyone, and welcome back to another session of Dark Souls PvP and another weapon showcase. This time I am using Ricard's Rapier. And you know, this video is entirely on PlayStation 3. And I think this is probably the only person I fought against who was not flipping, I swear. It was just ridiculous. It was just beyond ridiculous. And the entire night that I was on recording this, you would not believe how many hackers I ran into. I swear, I thought they were supposed to be a rare thing on PlayStation, but I saw 7 in a single night. Just saying, just throwing that out there. I have to say I was a bit disappointed with what I've seen so far from the PlayStation community. But that is not the point of this video. I just had to get that little rant off my chest. So, point is, I got fed up with every single person flipping, so I started to do a lot of backstabs. So please, I don't need to hear you ranting at me about how many times I backstabbed people. I realize I did it a lot, just because of the fact that almost every single person I fought was flipping, and I got really sick of chasing them around. Seriously, it's annoying. So, yes, I backstabbed people a lot. Oh well. Alright, moving on and getting started. Ricard's Rapier. Fun weapon to use, really more commonly seen being used with a buff like Dark Moonblade, Sunlight Blade, or Crystal Magic Weapon. It's very, very good at inflicting poison on someone though, I've noticed. It's pretty much a guaranteed thing if you put on a Rotten Pine Resin to inflict poison on someone with your R2 attacks. Now, that being said, the reason people use this weapon or use Crystal Magic Weapon and all those other buffs with this weapon is because those R2 attacks, those quick thrusts, those things do a lot of damage if you can actually land all of them. So, yeah. I probably should mention some basic things about the weapon, though, before I get any farther into this. Ricard's Rapier, of course, is a Rapier class weapon. It's a thrusting sword class weapon. Weighs 2 units. It has an E scaling in strength and an A scaling in dexterity. It requires 8 strength and 20 dexterity in order to wield. And strangely enough, it has no critical modifier to it, unlike the regular Rapier. And, you know, that's not necessarily a bad thing. If anything, it gives a bit of an example of how much a backstab or riposte would do with a regular Rapier if it didn't have that 110 crit modifier. So, it is what it is. It does slightly lower damage as well, but whatever. Now, this weapon, it is one that I definitely do enjoy. It's really fun to use on someone who has 0 or no poise, or 0 or low poise, not 0 or no poise, that's the same thing. It's really fun to use on someone who has 0 or low poise, because if you get them with that R2, it stuns them and they just sort of shake back and forth all around a little bit while you're stabbing them, and it's just kind of funny. So, yeah. Now, the biggest pro of the weapon, I would have to say, would be the fact that it's got a good moveset, and that's kind of really the only pro it's got going for it. Its damage output in comparison to the other thrusting weapons isn't that great. Of course, the Mail Breaker does have a lower damage output, but, I mean, come on. It's the Mail Breaker, so what do you expect? I'm talking about in comparison to another Rapier, like, say, the regular one. Its damage output is about 30 points lower for me. It's not that big of a difference. You also have to keep in mind its damage on criticals is significantly lower because it doesn't have the critical modifier. It's lacking a reliable R2 just because of the fact that its R2s, people expect that they'll just stand there and block. It's really not that threatening. So, yeah. Also, you've got people who, when seeing you use only a Rapier, they'll just go and poise stab you. It's really simple. It's something that a lot of people do, and it's just something you should expect going in. Just because it's so easy to do. You're using a Rapier. It doesn't take much to just poise stab someone who's only using a rapier. Now, there are some good things about the weapon. I would have to say that, of course, the best thing about it, aside from the moveset, would be how fast it is, although I guess you could include that into the moveset. It's very good for chasing people down, although I guess you could also include that into the moveset as well. Really, everything good about this weapon comes from the moveset. There's no way around that. So, yeah. Now, the cons of the weapon, of course, I mentioned the fact that it doesn't do as much damage as the rapier. It doesn't do as much damage on criticals as a rapier. It, I believe, weighs a little more than the rapier as well. Yeah, it weighs... I'm fairly certain that the rapier weighs 1.5, and this weighs 2, I said earlier, so it does weigh more than the rapier. It's got higher stat requirements, blah, 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 blah. Really, the main thing that this weapon is used for is for dealing quick damage with a buff. That's pretty much it, and that's really the main thing you're going to see this weapon used for. No one else really uses it, no one else has a reason to use it, and it's really not that threatening of a weapon. That being said, I would like to say I had a good time using it, but for the most part, the player base that I was fighting against, it wasn't really too enjoyable. I mean, come on. I went backstab happy, I really did. And, you know, I'm okay with that because, I mean, come on. So many people flipping, it was just ridiculous. I've never seen so many people flipping within that short of time. But anyway, there is one fight, if you want to call it that, after this. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Sorry that I'm in a bit of a bad mood about it, but I'm sure you can kind of understand why I didn't really enjoy making this video. So anyway, that's all I've got to say. I don't feel like recapping, so I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoy this last fight, and I will see you next time.